Good morning, guys. It's Carol. How are you? I am good. I am good. It's a beautiful day. It's not noon yet. Casey just threw a frozen pizza in the oven at her apartment, so it must be getting close to noon. But anyway, it's like 90 degrees. Pretty nice out here. The dogs and I are enjoy sitting out on the patio. I was going to tell you something I did, and I'm not bragging on myself. I'm just saying you could do this too and make such a difference in somebody's life. My non-biological sister, Cynthia, from Cynthia's Senior Insights, in my mind, she's my non-biological sister because I think we're so much alike in many ways. But anyway, she often says on just about every video how much she appreciates her subs and loves you guys, and how grateful she is to have a YouTube family. Me too. You cannot imagine when you get up in the morning and you open up and you see 30 kind comments, how much that does for you. It just really does. And you know, kindness costs us nothing, but it's such a wonderful thing. Oh, somebody's walking down the sidewalk. So the dogs are going to start barking here in just a minute. Hang on. No barking. No, it's okay. We're not barking. No, we're not barking. Okay. We went and checked our mail today, and then we went to pick up an order of groceries, and then we went to get some gas. We get our groceries at a little Walmart neighborhood market. And then in their parking lot, they have a little gas station, you know, and we went there and got gas, and Casey went and got me a Coke. And while she was doing all of that, I called the bank. You know, I told you I went to the bank yesterday. And I bank with a family-owned bank here in Amarillo called Amarillo National. It's a huge bank. It's not just one little tiny bank. It's a huge bank. They've been here over 100 years, probably over 120. I don't know. They used to make commercials all the time that they've survived Wells Fargo and I don't know, a whole list of nationwide banks. They come and go, but Amarillo National is still here, and they are good people. Well, I went in yesterday, you know, to get my checks, and I was having a bad arthritis day. My hip, one hip especially, and one knee especially hurt, and I was walking with my cane. I can walk without my cane, but I'm not so vain that I can't do it. It gives me a lot of help to use that cane, and it gives me a sense of stability, and I'm not too vain to use a cane or a walker. My eye just... Anyway, yesterday I was having a hard day walking though, so I had my cane and I was walking in the bank slow, you know, with my cane. And today I thought about how so many times I see on YouTube that older people or elderly people feel invisible and overlooked and ignored, and you know all those things. And I did not feel that way. So while we were getting the groceries and the gas and all that stuff, I called the bank. I went to a little branch of the bank up not far from my home. And I asked for the branch manager. And the person who answered the phone said, well, he wasn't here today. And so I said, okay, well, I'll talk to you. The man, when he answered the phone, said his name was Brian. So I knew he's a loan officer that I see in there a lot. Anyway, so I said, okay, Brian, let me tell you something. I could feel the tension coming over the phone. He was waiting for me to complain. I said, Brian, I'm an old lady, walk with a cane, and very slow. I came in the bank yesterday, tension coming at me through the phone. And I said, it was such a pleasant experience. I just needed to go to the customer service desk. I can, you know, see it from the front door. 3 people greeted me. Before I got to that 4th person, 3 people said, hi, how you doing? How can we help you? Beautiful day out there, isn't it? I got over to the desk, got my checks. I hate to even mention this. We got to go get groceries because somebody sent me a gift card. I spent it all on groceries. She doesn't want me to say her name, but I want her to know we went and bought groceries. Somebody else had sent me a monetary gift. I went from picking up my checks over to the teller to deposit that money. Don't send me anything, guys. I'm fine. I'm just telling you, I want to thank those people. Although a thank you card is on the way. Anyway, go over to the teller. Super sweet young woman. You know, they're all decades younger than me. All of them. Nice woman. So pleasant. I turned around to leave to go home. A lady at a desk over here said, "You have a great day." And I thought, okay, there was 3 people before I got to the 4th lady at the desk. 4. The teller was 5. That lady was 6. 6 people greeted this old lady who was walking very slow with a cane and could easily have been every single one of them's grandmother. 6 people spoke to me. And I did not feel overlooked or invisible or unwelcome or anything negative at all. Texans are pretty friendly people. You know, for the most part, most people here in Amarillo are like that. But anyway, I thought about all the people I have heard about on YouTube that feel invisible and overlooked. So while we were getting gas and groceries and stuff, I called the bank. And you know, bank manager wasn't there, so I talked to Brian. I said, "Brian, 6 people greeted me yesterday. I'm an old lady walking with a cane, slow." Where everybody was so kind and friendly to me and genuinely made me feel welcome. You know, it wasn't an empty hi. It was a genuine, made me feel welcome and seen and nice. Well, Brian, when he answered the phone and I told him, "Well, I want to tell you something," I could feel the tension coming through the phone at me. He was waiting for me to complain. And as I told him those things, I could feel the tension leave. You're going to think that's crazy, but you can. You can feel tension even over a phone call. And he said, "Thank you so much for saying that. We really appreciate that." I mean, he said that at least 6 times. And then he said, Would you mind if I give your name and phone number to the branch manager when he's here Monday?" And I said, "No, that's fine." He said, "I know he'll want to call you." And I said, "Well, I just want you to know, and I want you to tell every single person that works in there how friendly you are and how welcoming this is to come in here, and that this old lady did not feel overlooked." And you know what? I made his day. I know I did. I could feel it. And I'm not bragging on me for being nice. I'm just saying, we all can do that. You can do that. I started doing that a long time ago. I may have even told you this. I'm sorry if I repeat myself, because I know I do. Back when I worked for the city, we had self-funded health insurance. And maybe 5 years before I retired, they put in a health clinic where anybody on the city health insurance could go for free and see a doctor. Very nice clinic. I mean, it was pretty, and the people there were nice, and you know. Well, the first time I went, and whatever happened. It was a good experience. So I said, "May I talk to the clinic manager?" And the nurse or nurse practitioner, whoever, said, "Okay." In comes this lady with her arms crossed over her chest, a scowl on her face. I was scared of her. She was throwing out daggers. You know what I mean? Arms crossed over her chest like she is ready for battle. And I said, "I just want to tell you how grateful I am to have this free clinic to come to, and how nice everybody was, and just that I'm grateful to have this, or I don't have to pay a thing to come to this clinic." She melted. She said, "Every person complains about something. And I said, about a free clinic? They complain. Oh, yeah. They complain because they have to wait. I told her I've never been to a doctor's office that I didn't have to wait, and I didn't have to wait that long here. And you don't. It's just a clinic for city employees. How many of us can be sick at one single time? You know, I mean, there were people there, but, you know, it's not like I waited an hour and a half, which I have done. And let's not even talk about going to an urgent care place, how long you have to wait. She said, yes, everybody complains about everything. And I told her, well, I'm not complaining. I'm telling you I'm grateful for it. And I know I made her day better. We can all do that. Y'all try it. Because it'll make your day better too. And it costs nothing. So there. Go out and be kind to somebody. I mean, we all go places, even me who never leaves home. You know, you've got to go to a doctor, optometrist, a cataract surgery. You know, there are places we all have to go. I did think about, yesterday I told you I went to the bank and I got my checks, and I said for $22 you don't even get the cardboard box anymore. I thought, oh, that one lady's going to say, there she goes, complaining again. No. I was just saying, I expected a cardboard box to keep them in. We had to come inside. There was a FedEx truck out there. I'm going to tell you something else. And again, don't think I'm bragging on myself. That's not my intent. My intent is to tell you these stories, and here's what I want you to do. I know you're all kind people. We didn't get to this age without most of us being pretty kind. Tell your grandchildren these stories. They'll roll their eyes, but maybe it'll stick with them. How they can make people's day better. I feel like there's something on my face. Anyway, this one was a long time ago. In the early 90s, I think. Late 90s. I used to have asthma really bad. When I worked in the library, it was horrible. There is so much dust in libraries because the air conditioning, where I live, the air conditioning's on, you know, most of the year, and the rest of the year it's heat. But come out of the vents in the ceiling, blow, and they blow dust down on the tops of books. Then library patrons and employees go over and pull a book off the shelf, and all that dust goes right in your face. Libraries are very dusty places. Kept my asthma stirred up horribly. The library was full of fluorescent lights. You may not know this. Fluorescent lights can make you have migraines. I used to have migraines horrible at work. But anyway, there was this one winter. I don't have my tripod. My arm's getting tired. There was this one winter. We were having a snowstorm. My old car, whatever I was driving at the time, just had it. Gave up the ghost. When my asthma was stirred up, I could not breathe in cold air. That cold air just closed my lungs up. So I didn't get out in the cold any more than I had to. But I had a day off, and car had just died its final death. And so, first of all, I didn't have time to go car shopping. You know how long that takes. I, worked all the time, had one day off, but had to have a car. And where I live, we have public transportation, but not out but near my house. Here, everything's sprawled out, and you need a car to do much of anything. Well, anyway, had a day off. It was snowing. I'm not getting out in the icy cold. So I called the Chevy dealer. Why I picked Chevy, I don't know. I just did. I do know. This guy's name was John something that owned the Chevy dealership here. Used to make commercials, and he seemed like a real nice guy. Good Lord, what was his name? I thought I'd never forget it. Anyway, I called the Chevy dealer. And I said, can I speak to a salesman? Somebody who hadn't made a sale in the last couple of days. Yeah. Okay. Get a salesman on the phone. I tell him, look, I've had asthma really bad. I need a car. I need the cheapest car you've got that is worth bringing home off the lot. I had good credit, so I knew I could get a loan. I told him I don't need one with all the bells and whistles. I need a car that will get me and my kids to school and to work. And oh, my phone's ringing. I don't know where the good phone is. Hang on. Sorry, I had to go answer the phone. And again, I don't want you to hear the wrong thing. Don't say, oh, there she goes bragging about herself. No, I'm saying, look what you can do by just saying a few kind words. Well, anyway, back to my story, and I don't even know where I was in the story. It was wintertime. It was snowing. I had asthma really bad at the time. My old car gave up the ghost. I wasn't going to invest any more money in that clunker. And I needed a car. And I needed a car right then. I didn't have time to go shopping at every place in town. And I hate car salesmen anyway. So I called this Chevy dealer. John Chandler Chevy. That's who it was. Maybe it was John Chandler Ford. I don't know. Anyway, now I remember his name was John Chandler. Somebody that lives here in Amarillo will tell me what dealership he owned. Anyway, I call. I say, I need to speak to a salesman. Can I have somebody who hadn't sold a car this week? Okay. Get this young man on the phone. And I tell him, look, I don't have time for the whole buy a car mess. I have asthma really bad. I've got to have a car. I know I've got good credit. I know I can get a loan. I need one, the cheapest car on your lot that is worth driving off the lot. I need a used car, but I need it to be a good one. I need one without any, I don't need all the bells and whistles that are just going to cause trouble. I need something that'll get me and my kids to work and school and to the grocery store. And I said, I can't walk all over your lot in the snow with my asthma. So could you possibly bring a couple of cars up to the building, up to the showroom, park them outside there where I don't have to walk all over the place. Inexpensive cars, but worth driving off the lot. And let me just look at a couple of them. He said, I'll bring one to your home. I'll drive one to your home. I said, no, I don't need you to do that, but thank you. That was a nice offer. I said, no, you just bring a couple up there. Now that you know what I need and what I can afford and what I want, and I will drive out there and look at the ones that you have chosen. I didn't have any preference on some. I didn't need a Camaro. I didn't need a Chevy Blazer. I needed transportation, and I needed it to be cheap but good. So I drive out there. He has these cars in like where you pull up for service, like to get your oil changed or repairs done or something in that part of the building. He told me come there. He had some cars pulled up in there so I could get out of my car into a building and look at them. Very nice guy. And I bought one of those cars. It was a plain Jane car, but it was a good car. He told me all about it, and I appreciated him. And he didn't screw me over that I know of. You know how buying cars should be like buying a can of peas. This can of peas costs 78 cents. This car costs $10,000. You shouldn't have to dicker, and they shouldn't inflate the price thousands and stuff. But I digress. I bought the car, came home. I really liked it. It's exactly what I wanted, exactly what I needed. Somewhere in there talking to him, I told him about, I live close to this grocery store, Homeland grocery store. I go there all the time and blah, blah, blah. And he told me his mother works there in the bakery. Okay, anyway, I come home. I like the car. It was a good experience. So I wrote Mr. Chandler a letter. This is back when I used to write letters all the time. I told him the whole story. I have asthma. Can't walk all over your huge car dealership. This is what I asked for. This is what happened. Still trying to hold this without the tripod. Told him this is what happened. I bought the car. I'm happy with it. And that salesman's a good man. The next week, that guy called me, the salesman. He said, Mr. Chandler got your letter. He said, we had a sales meeting. Every salesman, this is a big dealership. I don't live in a little town. This was a big dealership. I have no idea how many salesmen. But anyway, he said we had a sales meeting. When we walked in, there was a copy of that letter in front of every chair. I'm going to cry because it made me so happy. And this was in the 90s, and this is 2025, and I'm going to cry. He said, there was a copy of your letter in front of every chair. In the letter, I said to Mr. Chandler, I don't know the salesman from Adam. Never met him before in my life. He didn't know me. I didn't know him. He said, Mr. Chandler had us read that letter and told us he wanted a letter from every person who ever bought a car from his lot. He wanted to know they were as satisfied as I was. You know what that did? It took me 5 minutes to type out a letter. That made that salesman's day. I think it made Mr. Chandler's day too, because he knew somebody said something good about his salesman. I think it did. I know it made that salesman's day. Anyway, he told me thank you. And he said, Mr. Chandler has put that letter of yours up on a bulletin board in the waiting room where people wait for the cars. And I knew that because my niece's husband had happened to go out there. He didn't know he even bought a car. He saw this letter on the bulletin board and he called his wife and said, this sounds just like your aunt. It was. Anyway, a few days later, I go to the grocery store. You have to walk by the bakery. It was at the bakeries in the front of the store. You have to walk by there to get anywhere else. So I stopped and I said to this woman there, I said, is your son a salesman at John Chandler Ford or Chevy or whatever it was? And she said, yes. And I said, well, I met him. I bought a car from him. He's a really nice man. You did good raising him. She said, oh, people write letters about him. And I said, no way. And she said, yeah, people write letters to his boss about him. And I said, well, that's wonderful. I bet you're proud of him. Oh, she was proud of him. She was so proud that somebody wrote that letter about her son. 5 minutes it must have taken me. And the cost of a postage stamp, which back in the 90s wasn't much, made that salesman's day. Made Mr. Chandler happy. Made his mother so proud of her son. 3 people, look what you can do. Look what you can do. And I'm not bragging about myself. I've done that kind of thing all my adult life. And I think you do too. But tell your kids and tell your grandkids, I don't know that people learn kindness like we used to. And I told you about my critical mom yesterday. I loved my mother. She was a nice woman. She really was. But her mother died when she was very young. She had a wicked stepmother. She was born in the 20s during the Depression. She had a lot of hard knocks in her life. I mean, she had no kind of luck but bad luck. She had a pitiful life. In fact, when she died, my sister, I live in Texas, and my sister and my mom lived in New Mexico, and when I went to the funeral home, my sister picked out the casket. The first thing I thought was, I told my sister, isn't it sad that the prettiest thing she ever owned in her entire life was this casket? It was a cream-colored casket. My sister did so good picking this casket out. And in the corners, it had an oval, like plaque thing with pink carnations painted on it. It was gorgeous for a coffin, a casket. And I said to my sister, isn't it sad that the prettiest thing she ever owned is this casket? But anyway, I don't want you to think ugly things about my mom. She was horribly critical with every breath she's ever said to me, but she didn't have an easy life. But anyway, because she was so critical, I think is why I learned to be so kind. You know, it can go two ways. You can pass on that being critical, or you can say, oh, the buck stops here. I'm gonna change this. Not gonna pass that on. But anyway, I want you to tell your grandkids the story. They're gonna roll their eyes. They're gonna poo you. But look what you can do. 5 minutes. Salesman made his day. Made his life, probably. Mr. Chandler, that owned the dealership, was tickled to death that he got a letter praising one of his salesmen. His mother was so proud of her son. I love doing things like that. It made them feel good. It made me feel good. So that's my sermon for today. I'm going to hush up now. You tell me what kind of things like that you've done. Leave that in the comments. All right. Bye. Okay, guys. I'm going to go. Thank you guys so much. I just enjoy you so very much. Come to my live on Monday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, 7 Mountain Time, 6 Pacific. And it'll be chaotic and noisy. My dogs will bark. My grandkids, I hope, are here, and they'll be noisy. And Casey, and I may have my other daughter here, and we'll be all be noisy. But you can just be a fly on the wall. Didn't you ever want to be a fly on the wall? You come be a fly on the wall Monday night. Okay, I hope you have an absolutely wonderful weekend. And leave a comment and tell me what's going on in your world. Okay, bye.